and I don't like the angle. I say first live stream, it's not my first live stream ever, it's my first live stream on this channel, and it's kind of scary. Where is the camera? That's that way, so let's kind of aim it a bit like that. Okay, so I promised to do a live stream when I hit 1,000 subscribers, and that is what this is. At the moment I have no one watching, which feels really awkward, but I'm just going to carry on because this will be available to watch back later on, so I don't want it to be awkward for people to watch, although it probably is now. I've said how awkward it is. Oh, someone's here, not my real name, says hello, hello. Thank you so much for saying hello. I don't feel so alone. How are you doing? Are you also on Mounjaro or any of the other GLP-1s? Let me know. So yeah, this is a live stream that I have certain things planned for. So we're going to cover my Mounjaro experience from the weight that I've lost monthly from the starting date that I first took my injection on the 13th of March this year. So it has been about 6 calendar months now. So I'm going to do a week by week breakdown, not week by week, month by month breakdown of what I've lost. KD, hello KD, I'm on Mounjaro 5 milligrams. Thank you for sharing, KD. So yeah, if you are watching, then please don't be shy. If you don't want to share too much information, you can always just put a little emoji just to let us know you're there. You can choose your favourite animal, or if not, your favourite food item. Just keep it topical. We also have Sharon. Hello, Sharon. Yes, 10 milligrams, 114 pounds down. You've lost 114 pounds. Is that what? Oh my God, that's a lot. That's amazing. Well done. And not my real name says, yes, started in June, nearly 3 stone down, finally at healthy BMI. Brilliant, well done. I am just in the healthy BMI category as well. I'm actually on 2.5 at the moment. I just took my injection a couple of days ago. I had a week off, which I'm going to detail in a video that I'm sort of been vlogging this week, my week off Mounjaro. So all the information will be in the video that I post tomorrow. But yeah, so I only just took the 2.5 a couple of days ago. Such a relief to get back on it. I had a lovely week off, got to eat some great food, but it's also good to get back on it. I'm scared I've gained weight. I don't know if I have, but I am worried about that. So I'll find out tomorrow when I get on the scales. But yeah, I took 2.5. Prior to that, I did take 3 milligrams the week before and the week before that. But I didn't, with having that week off, I didn't want to go straight back to 3 milligrams. So I'm quite cautious in my use of the drug. So yeah, I've been on 2.5 pretty much the entire 6 months, bar those 2 3 milligram weeks. So yeah, I'm going to go through month by month, starting on the 13th of March when I was 11 stone 11. Now this figure changes slightly depending on what video you watch, because I got on my digital scales at the beginning and I was actually a bit lower on those, and then I got Renpho scales and I was a little bit higher. But we're going with the Renpho scales. So my starting weight was 11 stone 11 and BMI was 28. So I was at the top end of the overweight category, but I wasn't quite obese. Right, let's see a few comments here. Diane, hi, now maintaining on a tiny dose of 1.5 milligrams every 5 days and will slowly spread injection days further apart. It works great. That is really good to know, because I am approaching maintenance, so I will bear that in mind, and I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to be going about it. Amanda Turner says, I'm on 2.5 every 5 days, losing slowly though. I am a slow loser, as you are about to find out, but I did start at that lower BMI. So 28 BMI is pretty much the lowest you can be here in the UK to get the injections, and obviously I got them privately. I think I may have qualified because I have another condition. I'm not sure if that is the case, but I do have a what's it called? Inflammatory bowel disease. I don't know if that sort of ticked a box for them to let me have it, but I got it at a BMI of 28. So on the 13th of March, I was 11 stone 11, and I think that was about 168 pounds if you want it in pounds. Although I haven't written that down for all of this, so we'll just do stones. At the end of March, so obviously I started halfway through March. So at the end of March, I'd lost 5 pounds. So 5 pounds in that first half a month. And then in April, I weighed 11 stone 1. So that was a loss of 5 pounds throughout April. In May, I was 10 stone 11. So that was a loss of 4 pounds for the whole of May. So that wasn't a particularly brilliant month. But then June came along, and that was not great either. June, I was 10 stone 9. So I only lost 2 pounds in June. So you see, I'm definitely a slower loser. Slower loser. July, I was 10 stone 3. So that was a 6 pound loss. So that was a little bit better. August, I was 9 stone 13. Obviously, getting to be a 9 stone anything was amazing. And that was a 4 pound loss. And then now my last weigh-in weight, I was 9 stone 10. And that means that's a 3 pound loss from August's weight. However, there's one more week to go. So whatever I weigh tomorrow will be added. If there is any loss, then that loss will be added to that minus 3 pounds. So as you can see, quite slow losses compared to a lot of people on here that share their information, and also Facebook groups and wherever you follow. You might be looking at people on TikTok. Some people lose lots of weight, some people lose very quickly, some people lose a lot slower, and of course your starting weight is going to play a big part in that. But you know, there are other factors as well, health issues, etc., etc. And for me, I'm more than happy with my weight loss. I think the fact that it's been slow means that it's healthier, hopefully more sustainable, and hopefully less likely to have too much loose skin. So all in all, I'm very happy with that. So my total loss is 29 pounds, and my average loss per month has been 4.83 pounds, and that makes my weekly average 1.07 pounds. And they do say, when I say they, the experts do say that a loss of 1 to 2 pounds a week is optimal. So that's fine then. So that's good. Blowing Free says, how long is the maximum you guys will keep an open pen for when microdosing? I don't have a maximum in my mind. The person that commented that they're taking the 1.5 milligram, be good to hear from you. What size pen do you take that from, and roughly how long does that pen then last you? I have got an array of pens, so I've just gone up the doses but paying for the bigger pens but staying on the lower doses. And I do have I've got two 12.5 milligram pens in my fridge, as well as a 10. So they are going to last quite a long time if I stay on these lower doses. And that's a risk that I'm taking, and I'm not recommending anyone do that, because every time you use it, you do risk contamination. So I think in an ideal world, maybe 7 point, for me on a 2.5 milligram, maybe 7.5 would be less risky and still good value. And yeah, I'll probably just buy 10, so if I can, just because of the value side of it. How long they last, obviously a 10 milligram pen is going to give you 4 times 5, 10 is going to give you about 20 doses. So 20, if you're taking it weekly, that's 20 weeks. But if you're microdosing it a bit more often, then obviously that'll be less. But yeah, none of this is me recommending anything. It's what I do, and you need to do your own research and get your own advice, etc. If you are thinking of changing things around, sort of against manufacturers' recommendations. Diane says my 5 milligram lasts about 3 months when I use 1.5 milligrams every 5 days. It's way past the recommended time though. And Blowing Free says I'm taking 2.5 from a 7 milligram pen. Yeah, there's lots of us that do that because obviously it makes it so much cheaper. But yeah, it's got its risks, and I think it's important to be aware of those. And if you're someone that's nervous about not following the rules, it's probably not ideal to do it, because when you do anything and you've got a bit nerves about it, you're more likely to mess up, and then you're also more likely to get a bit anxious after the event. You might do it and then think, oh God, did I do it right? And then have a week of anxiety. So yeah, do it at your own risk, and you do what works for you. Blowing Free takes it every 7 days, but feel 5 days is the way to go. I think that's what you're saying, or is that a question? I think that's what you're saying, yeah. Yeah, when at the sort of tail end of me taking 2.5, I started to take it slightly more often. So it began as it should be every 7 days. And then I found that it was wearing off, and I was taking it sort of more like every 6 days, and then sometimes even every 5 days. And then I finally decided to go up to 3 milligrams. But yeah, as I say, I've only just taken a 2.5 because I did have that week off. But well, I'm just going to play it by ear and see how I feel. You shouldn't take another injection you need to wait 3 days basically before you inject again as a bare minimum. So I'm going to see how I feel and whether I need to take more on day 5 or 6. We shall see, but I will be going back to the 3 milligram. Right, so I wanted to cover a few things that I haven't covered in my videos. So there's some things I realise I don't talk about that other people do, and I just wanted to cover that. So first of all, protein. Obviously it's recommended that if you're on any weight loss journey that you should be increasing your protein and also strength training to try to not lose too much muscle mass, because muscle mass obviously is very important. It's very important when it comes to maintaining your weight loss, in that and protecting your metabolism so that you burn more calories at rest, and you can consume more calories without gaining weight. So that's why I'm, really want to sort of maintain as much muscle as possible. But also, of course, if you're a certain age, like I am, sort of approaching menopause age, you really want to be looking after your bones and your muscles, because things can, I think, hormone fluctuations, and I don't know too much about it, but I know that all the fitness instructors that talk to older people on YouTube, I do watch some sort of I watch a fitness instructor, I've forgotten his name. His videos are aimed at seniors, as they say, but I thought because I'm a beginner, I'm just going to watch some of his videos, and they're really good. And he sort of mentions how you really need to take really good care of your muscles as you are aging to protect you. I think it helps you sort of fight against osteoporosis and You're more resilient if you have falls and things like that. You're just going to be stronger and healthier and more mobile. So all of that stuff is really important. But I haven't been talking about my protein intake because earlier in my, when I first started taking Mounjaro, I then started taking creatine, and I thought that that would help me sort of gain muscle, retain muscle. It's got so many benefits. I did a lot of research. There's not really too many negatives about it, and it's even good for your brain health and various things in the brain function. So I thought, oh my God, I've got to take this. It sounds amazing. And then I was taking it for a little while. I started to get this discoloration under my eyes, and I was getting a few other things as well. I was feeling a bit weak, and so I went to the doctor and did blood tests because I said I suspect that maybe I'm iron deficient or something because my diet is more restricted. I'm eating less food in general, and it turned out everything was normal except I had a raised creatinine. And I looked up because obviously I recognised the word creatine in there, so I thought maybe this creatine I've been taking has raised my creatinine, and this is to do with the kidneys. And so yeah, I googled it, and taking creatine can increase your creatinine, which basically isn't healthy for your kidneys. And one of the things with creatine is that it can overload your kidneys. Also, lots of protein can overload your kidneys. And so I stopped taking the creatine reluctantly, and I noticed that my under eye area still has a little discoloration under there, very close to the eye, just a little sort of reddy tinge. It can look worse some days than others, but it was much better. However, my blood test wasn't better, it was actually worse. So I did another blood test, and I think I waited about 5 weeks to let the creatine get out of my system. But unfortunately, the creatinine levels have gone up again. So there might be some sort of issue with my kidneys. I'm waiting for a referral and also another blood test in October. So I just got a text, I just need to scrap that away. Got another blood test in October, and I'm really hoping that the creatinine level has come down and I don't really have an issue. But one of the things that one of the things that I'm trying to, oh God, someone keeps texting me. So one of the things I'm trying to also do is not eat too much protein, because obviously that could be an issue if I do have a kidney problem. So that's why in my videos I don't talk about how I'm trying to eat a certain amount of protein, because I don't know if that is going to cause me any issues at the moment. So I just need to wait until I figured out what's going on with all of that. So I just wanted to mention that for those of you that sort of watch my videos regularly, why I don't mention my protein intake. I did at the beginning, and then obviously this came up, and I thought I probably need to actually reduce my protein intake a little bit. Not that I was eating loads of protein, I was still struggling to get the required amount, but I have now sort of, I probably get about 50 grams of protein roughly a day, which obviously isn't what they recommend for people on weight loss journeys, but I don't know if it's a problem for me, so that's why. Okay, Amanda says trials were 5 days. They say 7 for the fact it's easier for people to remember. Okay, yeah, talking about the weekly dosing, yeah, they basically, people remember to take something weekly. If you have to take it on a more unusual schedule, then you're more likely to forget, and that was the reason why they've said 7, even though the medication has that half-life where it drops off after 5 days, sort of halves in your system after the 5 days. Diane says, I clean the red seal both before and after injecting, and also my skin with the alcohol wipes. Also, I leave my finger on the plunger as I remove the pen to help reduce contamination re-entering the pen. That is all really good advice. As I do that as well. I think if you are going to make your pen last longer than it should, you really do need to make sure that you're following all the hygiene advice, and that especially that keeping the plunger in when you pull it out of your skin, because otherwise you could potentially pull something from your body into the medication. Probably not going to happen, but it's just best to be really careful with that. So yeah, that's brilliant advice. Right, so covered kidneys. Another thing I don't mention is food noise, and I'd love if any of you want to share your definition of food noise. I would really love to know how you perceive it, if it's something that you think that you get, and how do you perceive it? How does it manifest for you? For me, I'm not 100% sure food noise is that much of a problem for me. I watch a lot of people for, you know, all start with from all sorts of starting areas, starting weights, and you know, some people that have been obese their entire lives, some people that have just gained weight because of certain factors in their life, environment, job changes, all of that stuff, pregnancy. So I watch a lot of different people sharing their experiences, and usually people that have been obese, I think, for their whole lives probably talk about food noise a bit more. And the way that they describe it is that even when they're eating a really good meal, something they're enjoying, they're still thinking about the next meal or what they're going to eat next, and they sort of describe that as food noise. And I don't think that's something that I get. I can't consciously think that that's something that happens to me. Sometimes if I'm hungry, I obviously think about food and what I'm going to be eating. And if I'm eating, so when I'm on a diet, and I've yo-yo dieted for my entire adult life, when I'm trying to lose weight, however I might be doing it, Slimming World, calorie counting, whatever, if I've got a meal in front of me that's, you know, a bit paltry, or even it's just like it's a bit too healthy and it's just got nothing interesting on it at all, then I will be thinking about what can I have as well. Could I have one of those little mini, like, low calorie chocolate bars after this? And I'll be thinking about how many calories I've got left and what can I do with those calories. But that's really only when I'm trying to restrict myself. But otherwise, I don't think food noise is that big a deal for me, which is why I don't really talk about it. I get cravings, and if I'm sitting there just like aware of what snacks are in the snack cupboard, I can start thinking about whether or not I can have that cream egg. And I did have a cream egg today. So Pete bought me a box of 48 cream eggs. It was my choice. I was going to buy them anyway. He said, I'll get them for you. You can have them as an extra birthday present. So I've got this big box of cream eggs. And today I had my lunch, and it was I'll tell you what it was. It was a bit of leftover beef curry, a tiny bit of rice in there as well. So I heated it up, and then I put it in a wrap, and then I put that in the air fryer. So it's a gluten-free wrap, because I'm not sure if I've got an issue with bread. I'm just not quite sure. So that was reasonably substantial, but I do think that this 2.5 milligram isn't as strong as I need it to be. So I ate that, and then I still felt like I wanted something else, and I kind of just got the craving and had the cream egg. And I don't feel too bad about that. I've done almost 9,000 steps today, so I feel like the cream egg is okay. And then I've only had a tin of soup for dinner, and then I just had some cereal because I got back from a walk. You know, when you're out walking and you realise that you're running on empty, you suddenly just feel like you're running on empty. I'd had the soup not that long ago, but I just got that. It might be a low blood sugar feeling. I just got that feeling, so I came back and I had some cereal just before this live stream, just to sort of yeah, make me feel better. But yeah, I don't know that I get food noise, and I would love to hear from any of you if you're watching this now or if you watch this later, in the comments, if you can let me know what is your definition of food noise. Margaret says, hello, I'm taking 2.5 milligrams every 5 days. Hi Margaret, thank you for sharing. Yeah, let me know about food noise, because I'm not sure if I get it. Okay, I wanted to talk about side effects. This time around, I got an injection site rash on my belly. I always inject in my stomach, and I use my Shotzi app. I don't pay for it. I use the free version of the Shotzi app just to tell me, it tells me where to inject every time, and I just record it. And yeah, I got just a little red rash at the injection site, nothing too major. But I also get these rashes on my neck. I don't know if I'll be able to show you. Probably not. It's sort of round, so it's around here somewhere. I don't think you're going to be able to see it. I don't know, because the light's pretty crap in here. But yeah, I get this itchy red rash here, and sometimes I get it on the other side as well. I'm not sure 100% if that is Mounjaro related. I suspect that it is, as it does feel like it flared up a little bit after I injected. I have managed to get rid of it by taking antihistamines daily, and also using a bit of a steroid cream that I've got on it. But I haven't been that bothered, so I haven't actually done anything to help myself with that. Let me know what side effects do you get. Rashes. In the beginning I got minor headaches, but that's not really happened recently, and they were very easily dealt with paracetamol and obviously staying hydrated. Talking of hydration, this is your cue to hydrate. If you've got a drink, hydrate. If you haven't got a drink, go and get one. It's important. I just have weak squash most of the time. I pretty much live on weak squash. I don't really like plain water, especially not out the tap. I can drink bottled water better. Amanda says, could the neck rash be a reaction to a perfume? And I use swap and change. It's happened to me from a perfume before. I don't think so, because I don't know actually. I avoid this area of my neck with perfume because it has aged my neck. I'm certain of it, because I was liberally spraying my neck with perfume all the time. But then if it was sunny, going in the sun, and my neck has really aged. It's like an old lady turkey neck. I hate it. But this is round here. I do sometimes spray here where it's out of sight of the sun and stuff. So it's possible, but the rash itself isn't as close to where I spray it. But you might be right. So maybe I should avoid spraying around there, at least until the rash is cleared up. So yeah, that is a possibility. Thank you for pointing that out. I hadn't thought of that. And I have had reactions from perfumes before. I used to spray this bit of the elbow. It's actually a really nice area to spray because it warms up nicely, so it pushes the perfume out. But I was starting to get rashes in there because it's quite a delicate area. If you look at the skin in there, is obviously very thin, so I don't really spray in there hardly ever now. I've got out of the habit of it because yeah, it was irritating it. So yeah, good call. Thank you, Amanda. Yes, other side effects. The weird dreams. I got absolutely wild and crazy, really realistic dreams. I think the very first night that I took my very first injection of Mounjaro, maybe the second night a little bit as well, and then they went away. But when I took my 3 milligram, the first time I took 3 milligram, I did have more crazy dreams that night as well. So it does seem to be a thing. It's not a listed side effect officially, but there's a lot of people out there. I did some research. There's a lot of people out there that talk about it. So I think it is a side effect. Restless legs, not necessarily a side effect of Mounjaro. I think they're a side effect of the lack of certain nutrients, salts and electrolytes and things like that. So what has resolved it for me, I don't know if it's one or the other or a combination of both, but magnesium and electrolytes. And actually I haven't had electrolytes for quite a while, but I do take magnesium. I get them from, what are they called? Nutrition Geeks, I think they're called. I get them from them because apparently the magnesium is really good. It's got all the different types of magnesium in there, or at least 3 of the main types. So I do take 2 magnesiums every night without fail, and I haven't had restless legs for quite a long time. But I also now take a little bit of iron, because my iron, when it came back from the doctors, was at the lowest end of acceptable. So you know, there's always a range, isn't there? And mine was just within range. So I got some iron, which also has vitamin C, because apparently iron and vitamin C together, vitamin C helps you absorb the iron better. So yeah, doing that has helped me with the restless legs, which is a horrible symptom if you've ever had it. And then dizziness, this has been ongoing throughout the whole time, is only when you get up from sort of sitting down, laying down. If the worst it feels is if I squat down. Say I'm trying to get to a bottom shelf in a shop, you know, when you want to read all the things on the bottom shelf, and you squat down, and then when you stand up you suddenly feel dizzy. Yeah, but that seems to be a known side effect from what I can see, so I'm not too concerned. It's not that bad. I think it was worse when my calories were lower, when the Mounjaro was really Mounjaroing at the sort of earlier stages of taking it. I think that my dizziness was a lot worse. Now I'm sort of eating a bit more. I don't think it's quite so bad. So it could be sort of diet related as well as Mounjaro related. Who knows? Anyone else got any side effects they want to share? And if you are watching, as I said earlier, don't be shy. Just let me know by sending a little emoji. Anything you like, your favourite food, something cheeky, or a cute little animal, whatever you like, let me know that you are watching. So what else do we have to talk about? I'm going to talk about my, just in general, my history with weight gain, because as I said before, I didn't start out at the high, you know, a very high weight. I was actually at the lowest weight you could get these medications for. So my story is obviously is going to vary from other people's. I think as a child I was pretty normal build, neither fat nor skinny. Wasn't particularly, I've never been an athletic type person, but I was just normal. And in my teenage years, sort of like 14, 15, I thought I was a bit overweight, but I didn't really know, you know, and I probably wasn't really. I just wasn't. I wasn't one of the skinny girls, but I also wasn't really overweight either. And then it was only really when I started, I suppose, I started drinking, started working, and started driving, and obviously had my own money, and I just got really greedy. I suddenly had so many more options for food, and I was working in an office as well, which, you know, in office cultures, I think they're the same everywhere. As cake, any excuse for cakes, someone's birthday, cakes. And when you've got an office with quite a few people, that means there's quite a few birthdays and quite a few cakes. And then there's, you know, someone's going to run out to town. Do you want McDonald's bringing back, or Yeah, I don't, all of these things combined, me having more money, me having a car and able to go and get things. And I had this really stupid idea that it's not that easy to gain weight. So I was probably about a size 12 and I was sort of 17, 18 years old. And all the ladies in the office were a fair bit older than me. And they all used to talk about their weight, they all used to talk about diets. And I just thought it was ridiculous. And I just didn't think that you could gain weight that easy. And it's almost like I had this bloody minded idea that I was going to prove that you could just eat and eat and eat and not gain weight. And that's what I did. Many a lunchtime I went out and got McDonald's. Sometimes I'd bring extra things back to eat later in the afternoon. And a few months in, and I remember my mum worked in the sales office. I was a receptionist. My mum worked in the sales office. I stood next to her desk and I looked down and my stomach was sticking right out. I was still wearing size 12 trousers, but my stomach was sticking right out. And I went, oh my God, I've got a stomach. And my mum went, yeah, you do. And from then on, it was this, I didn't know how to lose weight healthily. You didn't go on the internet like you do now to find stuff out. I didn't know anything. So it was a constant battle of trying to lose weight, but in very unhealthy ways, like massively restricting my diet, massively restricting my calories, and it never really working, or not for long, because I'd get so hungry or I couldn't resist the cravings any longer and I'd have a binge. And so really from there, my weight has just gone up. It's gone up, 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 maybe been able to get it down a little bit, but then it's gone up, up, up. And so it's kind of like gone like this. I have been heavier than I was. My starting weight, as I said, was 11 stone 11. I've definitely been 13 stone something. And I think that was when I joined Slimming World. It was quite a few years ago now. I joined Slimming World and I did manage to lose about maybe 2 stone, a stone and a half, and then put a little bit back on again. But I would say for the last 5 years, I have just been battling to lose this. I've been battling with the same half a stone. So I've been between 11 and a half stone and 12 stone. And I would find a way to get half a stone off. But by the time I've done that, I'm fatigued from it all. I just can't do it any longer. And it goes back on. And then I think, oh no, I feel really horrible. I'm going to lose that. I'm going to lose some weight. Managed to get half a stone off. And then before you know it, put it back on again. And that's what it's been like. So yeah, that's what my battle with weight has been. I think my problem is I do like calorie dense food. I do enjoy sweet stuff. I've got quite a sweet tooth. And I like beige food. I like crispy food. I like fried food. I enjoy things like takeaways and stuff. But I know that we all do. But I'd say that's my problem, is that all or nothing thing. It's like I try and lose weight, but I try and do too much, take it too far, and then it's not sustainable, and then it all goes back on again. So Mounjaro has been a mental lifesaver for me. The mental side of weight loss is so horrible, and Mounjaro takes that mental part away, and that's what I've really loved about it. Right, is anyone still here? Because I have been yabbering on. Stephen Taylor says, hi, I was wondering, once you reach your goal weight, will you stop using Mounjaro, or do you think you'll always need it to help you? Thank you for asking, Stephen. I did have that down on my list of things to cover, so we'll do that now. So my goal is probably about 9 stone. So I'm at 9.10 at the moment, so that's 10 pounds less. I might not need to go that low, but I feel like that will give me wiggle room. and I'll probably maintain between 9 and 9.5 pounds, 9 stone 5 pounds. And then yeah, so what I want to do is get down to the 9 if I can, but I'm not going to go crazy. If my body doesn't want to lose it, then I'll just stay around, whatever I can lose, I'll stick there. But yeah, so I want to stay between 9 and 9 stone 5 if I can. And then maintenance, I do want to stay on Mounjaro if I can for as long as I can. And how that's going to look is going to be trial and error. I will probably just keep taking the 2.5, and then maybe so when I was taking 2.5, I ended up taking it every 5 or 6 days. Maybe I will take 2.5 but every 7 days like you're supposed to. Essentially what I'm going to do is take 3 milligrams next time I take an injection, and I'll carry on taking 3 milligrams until I've got down to what my goal might be, which may be higher than 9 stone. And then once I am there and happy, I will reduce that down to 2.5 and then take that between 5 and 7 days, seeing how I feel, very much suck it and see, slowly increase my calories, potentially increase days between injections or decrease the milligrams a little bit, but very much small increments, slowly, and take it week by week. But in an ideal world, I would love to stay on Mounjaro because I do have trouble staying away from very naughty food, and I realise now that my portion sizes were too much, and I would have sworn blind back in the days before Mounjaro my portion sizes weren't a problem, but I see now how slow the weight's coming off and how little I'm eating shows me that I was definitely overeating and my portion sizes were a problem. And so I don't feel that I can maintain without the help of Mounjaro. And I do believe in the set point theory. So if you don't know what that is, I'm not a scientist, but apparently it's like your body is just comfortable at this particular weight, whatever weight you have generally been at, and so your body is trying to maintain that weight. So if you take Mounjaro, lose loads of weight really quickly, stop taking Mounjaro, your body wants to go back to its set point, so it will make you feel hungry, it will make you move less, like it will make you feel tired, or it will stop you from sort of just using energy up, and essentially your body will kind of like make you gain the weight back. So I want to reset my set point because I feel like my set point was probably just above that 12 stone, which is why I just kept going back to it. So to reset your set point, I think you need to maintain that your weight, your healthy weight, for probably a few years. So if possible, I will stay on Mounjaro for as long as I can. I'd like to stay on it for at least the next 2 years or so, and possibly longer. But who knows? The rules might change. Anything can change. Prices, as we know, can change. So yeah, who knows? Right, Blowing Free says, think I'll do the same, Claire. I'm your Mounjaro twin. We started at the same weight. Oh, okay, cool. Amanda says, I want to come off it when I get to target. It's too expensive long term and the gastro side effects are harsh. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I really get... It's difficult to say because I do have bowel disease. So sometimes I don't know if Mounjaro is doing something to me or if it's just my bowel disease. So I actually think it might have slightly improved my symptoms when it comes to the bowel disease. But yeah, if you're getting bad side effects, then I totally get why you want to come off of it. Blowing Free says, I drink my calories. I'm addicted to full fat Coke. Was drinking 6 cans a day, now down to 2 or 3. Wow. Yeah, that stuff is is pretty high in sugar. Take it you don't like the diet stuff. But that's really good that you've reduced your quantity. That's really great. Ooh, got some drama. Got some drama going on out there. Yes, I think that's really covered my goal and maintenance. Yeah, essentially suck it and see, and that seems to be what a lot of people do. I watch a lady on here. I'm not sure if I'm going to remember her channel name. She's called Jen. She's really fit. She's petite. She's in her 50s, and she's got like visible muscle tone. She looks amazing. She's been on a GLP-1 for a few years now and has been maintained. I think she's been maintaining for a couple of years, and she's really inspirational. So I like watching her. And she's some really great advice. And yeah, so I'm not sure what my point was really, but I think one of the things on maintenance, one of the things that I will really be focusing on is gaining some muscle. So once I start increasing my calories, I definitely do need to start concentrating on more strength training. I swim at least twice a week, 2, 3, sometimes 4 times a week I swim. I've started to go in the gym after my swim, but it's not really enough. I do some arm exercises, arm weights, and then I do a little bit of cardio, the bike and the cycle. I need to get braver and look at the free weights, and they've got kettlebells, but I haven't really figured out exactly what you should be doing with kettlebells. So I do need to do more exercising when I'm on maintenance, especially once I'm taking in extra calories. That's a really good time to try and, sorry, I'm a bit belchy, try and put on a little bit of muscle. Yeah, okay, I wanted to talk about the pros and cons of taking Mounjaro and probably all GLP-1s. I think the pros are kind of obvious for most of us. Obviously, weight loss and all the great things that come from that. And what I mentioned earlier, those mental struggles trying to lose weight, the internal fights that you have in your brain and fighting cravings and stuff. Not having any of that is great. Not having to massively restrict because you just naturally do eat a lot less. Just having that less hunger, and also saving money on food. So yeah, all of those things. If you've got any other pros to add, I'm sure there's plenty, then please do let me know. But the cons, there are cons. Obviously we've mentioned side effects, the cost, and sometimes that less appetite isn't always great. You know, you've got a nice meal plan, you're going out to dinner or you've been invited round for a takeaway and you can barely eat. It's embarrassing, it feels horrible. I hate wasting food. I do try to plan so that when I've got any meals planned, that I'm at the end of the week, not just taking my injection. One of the cons for me is that I've lost my bum. Don't know where it's gone. I've put in a missing persons report. It's and I've also, even though my boobs are tiny, I never thought I'd lose weight from my boobs because they were already tiny. I was wrong. You cannot control and you cannot know where you're going to lose the weight from. And I didn't even think about my bum. I probably had quite a nice bum. And as I've lost weight, I've realised that when I sit down on a hard surface, it really hurts. I can feel my bones on the hard surface. And yeah, my boobs are really, really tiny now. So I don't know whether if I start doing loads of squats and I can put some muscle on my bum, can I actually get a bit of shape to it? I think it's worth trying, so I might look into that. Plus, apparently your glutes are your biggest muscle group on your body. And of course, if you gain muscle, you improve your metabolism, you can eat more calories at rest. So all of that's great. So here's to building a bigger bum. Yeah. Loose skin. So obviously we all know that if you lose weight, you potentially will get loose skin. I didn't know if I would because I didn't have as much to lose, but I have noticed it. I noticed it on my arms quite early on, like wrinkly upper arms, a little bit sort of like flapping bingo wings. Not really bad, but still I can see that it's happened. And even my stomach, I can see certain angles and stuff that, yeah, it's a bit loose. And then also my thighs. So there is some loose skin. It's not horrendous. It's not something I'd get surgery for. It's really not that bad. I'm using moisturiser every day. I can't be bothered with collagen. I don't know if it really works. So yeah, loose skin is going to be something if you're going to lose sort of a significant amount. I've lost 30 pounds and it's showing up on me. So yeah, it is. It's a con. Sometimes you can eat too little and then you feel weak, and that's something that builds up over time as well. I've noticed is when the Mounjaro is really strong in your system, you can have sort of like 2 or 3 days where you feel fine but you're not eating that much, and then all of a sudden it sort of hits you. You can feel quite weak, and that's not very nice. And I think that it can be a bit of a pain for friends and family. You know, for me, when I was on holiday last week, I just felt really awful because I'd order a meal and sort of like have a few mouthfuls and not want to eat anymore. And I felt really bad for Pete. I felt bad for wasting the food. I felt bad for the waitresses, but yeah, I felt bad for Pete as well. And also, just don't fancy certain foods. So Mounjaro has affected what I fancy eating. So, for example, it was Pete's birthday, and I said, "Oh, where do you want to eat?" And we looked at a restaurant menu, and he said, "Oh, this looks really nice," and I just didn't fancy anything on the menu, and the only thing I fancied was pizza. So So on Pete's birthday, he had to eat what I fancied, and he was really good about it. Well, he was. He's been winding me up about it, but in a jokey way. And we ate the pizza, and then that made me really ill for whatever reason. I'm not quite sure if I'm intolerant to something, or if it was Mounjaro, or if it was my bowel disease, or a combination of all three. But that was really awful, and I suffered for days after that. So that's karma for you. So yeah, there's definitely quite a few cons, but I think for certainly for me, it's worth it still. Diane says, I put soluble multivitamins in my big water mug. They're flavoured and taste as nice as squash too. Just gives a gradual extra vitamin boost throughout the day. Okay, that sounds good. Stephen says, does it annoy you when people say it's cheating? I don't agree with that viewpoint myself. I don't think anyone has accused me of cheating to my face. I did have one person sort of imply it, and I just said, well, I've never worked harder for my weight loss. I'm counting my calories, tracking every day, I'm exercising, I'm doing lots of steps. This is the most I've ever done and the most consistent I've ever been for weight loss, and it's not a competition. So how can you cheat if it's not a competition? Yeah, there are people that I see whenever there's a headline from some cheap you know what I mean, like the Daily Mail, whenever there's a headline of someone's taken weight loss injections and now their pee is black or whatever it is, you always get loads of comments of people and saying, oh, it's cheating, or you're taking my medication, I've got diabetes, and shouldn't be going to people for weight loss, or so many other things. Oh, just eat less, move more, all of that. Yeah, I think you just have to turn a blind eye to it. I see people get in the comments and they fight the battle, they fight the good fight, but you can't change someone's mind in a comment on social media. It's pointless. I was a little bit anti GLP-1s when I first I started seeing Sharon Osbourne, um, and Ozempic, talking about Ozempic, or people sort of linking her with Ozempic. And I saw these American celebrities that were all getting skinny and Ozempic was the thing. And when I first sort of read anything about them, what I thought I'd learned was that everyone that's on it, all the food is sitting in their stomachs all the time, and they all have bad breath, and they've all got all these really awful side effects, and they're risking cancer, and all these things that I was sure were fact. And I remember, because I've got the perfume channel, I follow a girl on there, and she mentioned that she's on Ozempic, and she looks fantastic. She wasn't like, well, I thought she's a beautiful girl anyway, but she mentioned that she's on Ozempic and she'd lost some weight. She was looking fabulous. But I remember like holding myself back from typing, "Oh, are you sure you want to be doing that?" And because I just believed all of these things. And I didn't type anything. And I'm really glad I didn't, because it would have been absolutely pointless, because I didn't know, because I hadn't done my research at this point. And I remember even saying to Pete, "Oh, I'll never do these injections. I really want to lose weight, but I don't think that's going to be the way." And then and then I don't know why, I was obviously curious, because I really wanted to lose weight, and I saw a YouTube video for a Channel 4 documentary on. It was more about accessing them. Accessing, yeah. It was more about accessing them than anything else. It was kind of saying, "Oh, people can get them too easy," and they were getting like an underage girl to go and order it and go and get it, and a girl who wasn't overweight. So, but all of that and all the interviews and stuff they did, instead of making me not want to do it, it had the opposite effect. I was like, why is everyone really trying so hard to get these injections? They must be really good. So that really, even though the documentary was almost a negative for GLP-1s, it really piqued my interest, and that's why I started to actually research it. And sort of I thought, well, what are the side effects? And obviously this idea that people were walking around with, everyone that was on a GLP-1 had rotting food in their system, and their breath stank, was so wrong. I don't even know where I got that from, but I'd seen it somewhere and I believed it. And that's not the case. I don't think my breath smells. I know sometimes people get sulfur burps, but luckily enough that's not happened to me. But even then, it's always a temporary thing, something you can take something for. So yeah. Amanda says, "How did you and Pete meet?" Definitely not Mounjaro related. You just seem like a cute couple. Thank you. It's like sort of channel related if you take the sobriety side of it, because on the 1st of January 2024, I had my last alcoholic drink, and that was a New Year's Eve party. So it was the early hours of the 1st of January. And that was when I decided that I wasn't going to be drinking alcohol anymore. And after that, a couple of months later, I decided to. I hate dating sites. I've had so many bad experiences, and it's so what's the word? It's like banging your head against a brick wall. So many people with so many issues that are looking for relationships. But on this occasion, I decided to go on a dating site, and this was different because I was putting on there that I don't drink and I want to meet someone who also either doesn't drink or they only drink very occasionally. And that was the difference, because I think everyone that I've ever met previously from dating sites has been quite regular drinkers, not necessarily problem drinkers, but I didn't want to meet someone who drank because I didn't want to find myself drinking with them. And I am one of these people who is a bit easily led. And I knew that if I met someone who had a few drinks every week, that I'd end up drinking again, and I didn't want to. So I did that. I didn't message anyone. I just put the profile up and just occasionally looked at messages. I wasn't that serious about it because I'm so jaded from dating sites. And then, yeah, Pete got in touch. So it was a dating site, and I had my first sober, I was going to say job interview. I had my first sober date. I say that, I have met people for sober dates, like coffees and walks and stuff. I have done sober dates, but this was actually a sober date in a pub, and we met up, and I was instantly attracted to him. He's lovely and tall, he's got lovely eyes, and so we met up, and of course I was nervous because I'm meeting someone in a pub and not drinking, and we drank alcohol-free beer, and we just laughed and chatted and laughed and chatted, and just really clicked. We really got on, and yeah, it's been great since then. So yeah, I think not drinking has massively improved my life, and Pete being a large part of that. What has been more life changing, no booze or weight loss? Probably no booze, because yeah, I feel great for the weight loss, but apart from looking differently, feeling a bit lighter, feeling I don't know if I'd say I feel healthier, because I didn't have any diseases related to being overweight. So yeah, I'd say not drinking has had a massive effect on my life, because obviously, as I just said, I met Pete, and Pete doesn't drink, but also it's just changed my life, because I was wasting a lot of time drinking, going out. When you go out, obviously you're out for the whole night and you're good for nothing. The next day, usually reasonably, depending on how bad I'd been drink wise, but usually at least dehydrated and tired. But yeah, at worst, massively hungover. So you lose half a day, or if not a whole day, to hangover. Even drinking at home, just 2 or 3. My drinking at home wasn't that bad, because my drinking was for confidence, so it was social drinking. And drinking at home, I could take it or leave it, but sometimes I felt like, oh, it's Friday night, I know I'm in on my own, but I'm gonna have a few drinks. And even then, you still wake up a bit tired the next day. There's always that risk, text someone something stupid. So yeah, I think not drinking has given me time. I was able to be a lot more organised with my life, because I wasn't wasting entire days to hangovers, and I wasn't wasting evenings. So if I'm sat at home on my own of an evening, I'm not drinking, so I can go and do something useful. Even if it is my chill time, I could still go and empty the dishwasher, or put a wash on, or decide to quickly run the vacuum cleaner around. Whereas if I start drinking of an evening, I'm not going to do any of that. So it's given me there's more organisation around food as well. I wouldn't get around to going food shopping because hangover, whatever, and then I'd end up getting takeaways. So when I was drinking, I got a lot more takeaways, and when I stopped drinking, I went months without getting a takeaway. And it's only being with Pete, because obviously it's a nice thing to do as a couple here and there. We sometimes get a takeaway. But I went months without getting takeaways. I was shopping much better. Even though I did gain weight after I stopped drinking, that was, I think, because I was compensating for, losing out on the drinking and the socialising side of things. So I felt like I deserved, more food, better food. So I did end up gaining weight after that, and I thought I was going to lose weight because I'm not taking in the alcohol calories. But I was a spirit and diet mixer person, so my drinks weren't that calorific, and then the nausea that I'd feel the next day stopped me eating. So I think actually drinking sort of kept my weight down a little bit. But yeah, not drinking meant I was much more organised, I had much more time, I was able to go shopping, I was doing a lot more cooking from scratch, and yeah, and I have not got any memory loss. My memory is not great anyway. I don't know if it's the years of drinking or it's just not great. But when I used to drink, my memory could be lost even after just a few drinks. I might not be that drunk, but my brain just lost the memories, and it's kind of scary. It's a bit scary when that happens. And oh, it's time to hydrate. Margaret says, when I got sober, my food addiction got worse. Did you experience that? Yeah, I think I've sort of kind of just covered it. I think it's people that give up cigarettes, they tend to gain weight, don't they? Because you're trying to replace something. So it does make sense. So yeah, I definitely did gain weight. Not massive amounts. Probably gained less than half a stone slowly over time. And then yeah, then I went on keto, and then I was basically just losing half a stone, going on holiday, gaining it back, losing half a stone, had a few celebrations, gained it back, and it was just, yeah, constant. Okay, have I got anything else on my list of things to tell you? I think I've pretty much covered it all. Okay, I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover in this. The only thing I want to ask you is, what are you watching on telly at the moment? I need some inspiration. I like drama, true crime. What else? I do like a bit of reality TV, so I am watching Maths UK, and I will watch Love is Blind when that's on. So yeah, don't laugh at me. But if you can recommend any really good TV shows, I've got a telly that can get, I think, most things on, which is cool, but sometimes I just don't know what to watch. So if you've got any recommendations, let me know. I did screenshot something that was mentioned on social media today, but I've forgotten what it's called. Yeah, I can't remember. So let me know, and then I will call it quits, because we are over an hour in, should I say. So if you have any recommendations, I'm trying to think. Oh, what did I watch? The Jackal. Is it called? It's the Jackal, or not Return of the Jackal? It's a series. I think it's the Jackal, or similar. Might have other words in the title. That was brilliant. So if you haven't seen that, give that a watch. What else? Yeah, can't think of anything else I'm watching. Oh, Naked Dating. Naked Dating. Oh my god, it's hilarious. The UK one with Rylan in. Rylan's the presenter, and it's full frontal nakedness. I've also found I'm watching an American one, but they blur out everything. So it's slightly different format as well. But the UK one's brilliant, so recommend that if you like your reality TV. They're kind of all the same, these shows. Love is Blind, Maths, Love Island, Naked Dating. You kind of seen one, you've seen them all, but I love the way the egos play out, and the dynamics of different relationships and things when the certain challenges are thrown at them. Oh, Stephen says Big Brother starts tomorrow, I think, if you like reality TV. I haven't watched that in years and years and years. So that's a good shout. I could give that a go. Yeah, I remember it back in the day, you know, the very early first sort of 2 series. I was a bit obsessed with them at the time, but then they seem to just put the most bizarre, they really find the dregs of society. I know it sounds really horrible, but they just put the most bizarre, attention seeking people in there, that once people clock that you can become famous and make loads of money, then the show wasn't what it was back in the day. Their very first one was brilliant. I think Love Island's kind of the same, like the very early Love Islands. I think the Celebrity Love Island, I think that was the very first one with Callum Best in. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But obviously, people clock that you can get a career off the back of it, and that makes it not quite so authentic, shall we say. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to call it quits now because I'm running out of steam. But I really appreciate you being here and interacting with me and making me feel not so lonely. I was worried that there would be no one here and I'd be talking to myself. So I really appreciate each and every one of you for that. And I'll be posting a video tomorrow. So if you haven't, please do subscribe. And then you'll see my video tomorrow, which will be my weigh-in. And this is the week that I haven't been on Mounjaro. So I've had a week off Mounjaro. I have been eating a lot more. There has been a takeaway and a meal out this week. So I'm worried about gaining weight. I don't know what the scales are going to say, but I'm going to film. I've filmed it all week. I've done it in vloggy style, but I will be filming my weigh-in and uploading the video tomorrow. So do make sure you check that out. If you haven't liked this stream, please click the like if you did enjoy it at least. And as I say, yeah, thank you so much for being here, and I will see you all very, very soon. Bye.